fine with you just asking the questions. Like, I was hoping for, like, maybe, like, you write a short introduction or forward, like, another time, but yeah.
Okay. Can we just dive right in? I'm just letting you know. So I've got 13 questions written down. I know you said 7, but there's a high chance you're going to say something, and I may have to ask another one of my questions to follow on from what you said.
Okay.
And also, I've said 13 because I'm probably not going to include them all. Or it's like, you don't need to include them all. It's just 13 because they're questions which are like follow-on questions depending on what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, you can ask
and with this transcript, I'm
yeah.
asking this first question, but it technically doesn't have to be the first question. It can just be, it's just it can just be a thing.
You can like improvise and follow on. By the way, that's cool.
Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
Hello everyone. So we're here with Levi Kwaku, a 21-year-old artist from South London.
No, it's just the conversation. Allow it. That's a 21-year-old artist.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, I'll let you do your thing. Okay.
I'm hearing angry boyfriend vibes. So.
Okay, I'll keep quiet.
Alright, you ready?
Lost. Yeah, God.
Why do you create? What need does it satisfy?
The needs of existence. If I don't create, I just consume. And it's like creating fills the hole that's inside of myself. I feel alive. And plus, it's the best way for me to fulfill a sense of service. The skills that I have to be able to serve others. Yeah.
Okay.
Should I continue? Yeah.
You can continue if you want to talk. Like, is that the sole reason why you create?
I mean, it's just natural. It's just like it's what fills the day. If I don't create, I'm just like gonna consume something. I need to be stimulated somehow. I'm either gonna just consume like food or drink or like, I don't know, information, stimulation, whatever. But creating is really what kind of almost shows me myself in a way. Yeah.
Cool. What kind of research do you do, and how long do you spend researching before you begin a piece?
What do you mean?
As in, like, let's say you have an idea in your head of something that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
How long? What is the process that you do before you actually create it? So, what kind of research would you do? How long would you spend researching before you even start it? Because I know you do so much blooming research. If you look at, I'm not going to include this bit, but if you look at your wall, you research before you create or you write. So what kind of research do you do, and how long do you spend researching before you even begin the piece?
One, like, include it all, like every single thing, like keep it raw. But second of all, research is very complicated because, like, if school was to ask me, I'd say I don't know. But like when it comes to, for example, if I'm writing a story, and it will be on a certain emotion, my research is experiencing the emotion. Mm-hmm. That's my main research, and everything is quite intuitive. Research is difficult because I never really know what I'm doing. I never know what, even if I have a plan, it's a very loose plan. I have like points, but it doesn't, but in between is just completely, I don't want to say random. I let go to like the flow of the time, and procrastination is a big part of the process, mm-hmm. like on purpose, intentionally. So, but when it comes to research, that's very difficult because I'd say research is more integrated with daily practice. I'd say that's where research really comes alive, because in the middle of the project, I see the project as the freedom to make something without the constrictions that I would put myself in.
1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Hello? Hello? No, is it okay?
I wanted to ask if I could possibly borrow your bag.
Yeah, it's just...
Because I can't
Only wonder.
so bad. Thank you so much.
No worries.
It will be returned to you in half
Don't worry. Have fun.
Bye.
Sorry.
Nice. I hope. Nice. Include that.
No, I'm not. I won't include that.
Include that.
No. Can I? Okay, then. Rolling on from that.
Mm-hmm.
Bear in mind, I think I'm just gonna ask you all 13 because I think they're good questions.
Sure.
Because you said you found the research kind of difficult. What part of the creative process excites you the most?
Oh, that's a good question. What part excites me the most? Damn. I guess it's funny. It's like I could say the beginning or the ending because I love the feeling of accomplishment once I finish something and I can move on. I do love the beginning where it's like all the ideas are kind of loose and free and light. They're not developed. There's no depth to it. But I also love the process itself, like the act of doing, because it's like in the process is where the true joy is, because that's where the art is.
Yeah.
Art is the process. So it's like when you're stuck in the middle of it, it's really, that's when you feel like anything can happen. You're improving. You're on a journey to somewhere. But I'd say my favorite bit is editing, probably. I love editing because it's like you're really seeing the thing come together.
Editing what?
Editing
in what, like, media format? What do you mean by editing? Do you mean like...
all formats. Like, as much as I'd like to say specific, it's writing is the most obvious of the formats because it's the easiest one to see the actual effect of the editing, like straight away. Writing is the best. It's because you have to have some kind of structure and precision with your words, so it's a lot more obvious with the editing. Photography is very interesting when it comes to editing. You wouldn't think, like, you'd think it would be like the actual contrast, the lighting, all these things, but it's really, what I found recently is like the framing. Editing how the picture is framed. It's like it changes the story completely of the photograph if you like edit how the photo is shaped, which is interesting. But yeah, I think editing is a really nice feeling because it's like the next stage from creating to crafting, if that makes sense. It feels like you're turning pro, as they say.
No, I love that. How do you know when a piece is done?
When I know if I keep doing it, I'm going to mess it up.
Is it like an overload of sensory information or like where you're like, no, how do you pull yourself out of that period? Because it's so easy to get caught up on fixing the little nooks and crannies. I felt like you can go deeper into that answer.
It's kind of... Wait, can you repeat the question again?
How do you know when a piece is done?
Yeah. But what you said afterwards.
As in, like, you know how it can be almost like an overload where your brain runs... There's so many thoughts coming in because you love your piece, but you're like, how can I make it better? So how do you pull yourself out of that kind of situation where you've become so attached to your artwork that you find it very difficult to kind of objectively take yourself out and just close that chapter or finish that piece of art? Because especially if you're in love with something that you're creating, I think it must be so hard to know when you finished it, especially if you're very attached to your work.
Make more. Like, that's the key. Like, make more. That's it. Like, it's kind of... It's when you have so much to do, you kind of end up feeling the need to move on. It's like children. It's like if you have one kid, you're going to be super protective of that kid. Yeah. But if you have like 11, you're going to be too tired to care. So it's kind of like as long as each one is good enough, it's like you just keep moving. Like, I think it was a saying by Mark Zuckerberg that I heard, and I was like, interesting. It was like, finished is as good as perfect, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's what really changes things. It's about frequency. And for example, say if you don't want to have a lot of that specific product or project, it's like fine, but you should still be making constantly, because then it helps you detach and keep moving on. There's a bigger picture.
Okay, I love that. That's so interesting. You seem like a very confident guy. How is your personality reflected in your work?
That's very funny. I was actually thinking about that recently because it was actually you that came into my mind.
Why do I always come into everyone's minds? Jesus. I'm always coming into everyone's minds at the moment.
Shut up. Like, it was just you when I called you quite a while ago and I was asking you about how my artwork seems to you. There was one word you used that has stayed in my mind, and it was romantic. And I was thinking about that word, and it's like, yeah, you did say that. But yeah, it was like, I don't know, I heard that word and I felt like, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about, let's say, photography. Like, it's the sensitivity of how I see things. Mm-hmm. Like, it was always hard for me because I wouldn't be I was decent at a lot of subjects when I was younger, but at a certain age, it's kind of everyone starts splitting off, and also personal life got harder, and it's kind of the one thing I kept was the way I see things, and that's the one thing that I feel like I can actually share, like the way I see things, the vision. Like, as much as I don't like the idea of saying, oh, I see things differently, it's kind of interesting when I see people see my work because they say I have an interesting perspective, and I like to think so. So it's kind of, like, already from the fact that I'm 6'6", not everyone has that perspective. No, but it's true. Yeah. It's true.
I like that. I like that. 6'6".
Like, that's what my tutor said.
That's a good way of looking at it. That's such a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's what my tutor said, and I was just like, that is true. Yeah. Like, not everyone sees, like, the way I see certain people, most people don't see them like that. So it's kind of... So, yeah, like, when I take photos from my height, it's kind of interesting. So, yeah.
You spoke about your perspective. What period of your life do you find you write about most often?
That's the funny thing, though, because I want to say my teenage years, but the thing about everything I do, the most important part for me is timelessness. Like, that's always the most...
What do you mean by that?
It should be something that's translatable towards the past and the future. Like, I do feel like naturally, just by making something within the context of this time, I would have documented like what it was like to live at this time, and maybe adding specific details which would highlight when this was made. But that's just the skin to the skeleton that is, you know, the human experience, human nature that we all share. It's why Shakespeare can be translated to today, and hopefully my work can be translated to tomorrow. Okay. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'd say like teenage years definitely had a big influence, especially because I'm nearing the end of it, and plus it was such an emotionally charged time, and the time where I fully just tried to push for more and more experience as well now, especially because we're in lockdown. It's kind of the chance to experience is less, if that makes sense.
I get that. So I feel like for you now it's about in lockdown for you as an artist, is it about utilizing what you already know, or like what would you be doing in lockdown to kind of better your art?
I mean, like, well, in my work, it's always about teetering between what I know and what I don't know. That's why it's always such an interesting process, because I never really know what I'm doing. Yeah. Like, if someone asks me to do a report on what, let's say, my artwork is about, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I find out after, but I'm not going to play around and say, oh yeah, this is about, society. It's like I was not thinking about society when I was taking pictures of my friends while we were drunk.
I was gonna say, one of my questions was, does your art comment, or will your art comment on current social issues or political issues in this climate? That was one of the questions I was actually gonna ask you. I said, will your artwork ever comment on the current social or political issues in this climate?
No, I don't believe in the idea of having a political voice in art. It's wrong.
Wait 1 second. It's frozen. Can you repeat that again? It just cut off on no, I don't believe.
I don't believe in having a political voice in art. Like, I don't disagree that there's been great art that's had a political voice, but I think it's something that it kind of misguides people who aren't at the stage where you would earn something like that. It's kind of, it distracts from the art itself. Like, art is a form of documentation, which would naturally take the energy of the political climate. So when I do see political art, it's usually when it's in a documentary position that I can respect it. But the idea, it kind of distracts from the how do I explain? From the perspective of seeing art as either to admire beauty or to be in a state of balance and harmony, or to be in a state of illusion and emotional charge, or just mental stimulation. These different kinds of beings, or appreciating just utter craftsmanship and seeing the process within a work. It's like it distracts from the work. I think politics doesn't have to hurt art, but I think people take art and see it as activism, and I think just making art, you're living an
Wait, 1 second. I'm on the phone. What's up, my love? Hello? Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, just by making art, you're living the active life.
Yeah.
You're fighting for something. By the fact that you keep breathing and you keep making, you're defying death every day in a way. So when you say political voice, you have to understand that politics is like based on values, and that's really what you should be looking at your art, not a political position, but your values, and translating that in your artwork. I think that's a better compass, and I'd say I do that with my work. Like,
so what does your art show? What does your art show?
Authenticity, which is my main value. I believe in being true to oneself, and in my artwork, I want to make sure that everything is something everyone else can experience. Like, even when I would take photos, the main criteria for them at the beginning was if other people can feel something. That was it. It wasn't, oh, it's only parties or it's only nature. It was, can you feel something? And today I even felt, when you look at a photograph, you got to ask, what's the story?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. What was the question again you just recently asked?
I just asked, what does your art show? Because you spoke about values. I just want to know what, to you, your art show, like to other people, not...
Shows me. That's a lot of the time. Like, it shows me. It's a bit scary, like, the fact that I'm revealing myself. It almost feels like, without intuition, I'm just a limited person by my experiences. But with the vision and connected to something like infinite, it's kind of, I can keep on making work. So yeah.
What is one thing you'd give up to become a better artist? Because you talk about gaining experience, but what one thing would you give up in order for you to become a better artist? Got you there, didn't I?
Yeah, I want to... At first, the first thing that popped up was everything, but the second thing, which I noticed you, was sex. It's like, that's...
Sex?
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
this is gonna be a good little write-up. Sex.
yeah, I'm
He's
not
got a
even
small
sure.
cookie, by the way, guys.
Oh, shut up. Like, like, it's just, I was just thinking, what's the thing that would hurt the most to give up? And I think that's what would hurt the most. So, I guess, yeah, sure. Like, the idea of promiscuity, I
But
guess.
do you think it would make you a better artist?
I think it's debatable.
But by giving sex up, how would that make you a better artist?
I think it's not about giving up sex. It's about making a sacrifice. Like, as Jordan Peterson always says, it's like and someone else, it's like each desire is a sacrifice. And it's like, the bigger the sacrifice, the bigger the desire is kind of like. So it's like, in order to do the things I want to do, the bigger I want to do things, the more I have to sacrifice. So it's kind of like, yeah.
Damn. Okay. What piece are you most proud of and why? And please don't say everything. Just be honest. Like, what piece kind of struck you? Where was it? Maybe your first time exploring a new medium, or was it your Zine that you produced as part of your uni project that was actually part of your portfolio? Like, what are you most proud of? I don't want to hear everything. I want to hear, like, generally, what are you like? Oh, I'm actually so proud of this. Like, this is new for me. This is raw. This is how I actually want my art to go. This is the right direction. What is it?
You know, it's pronounced zine, right?
Well, I'm French. Zine.
Shit. Okay, I'll take that. No, I already had the idea. I'd say two things. One, maybe three, but like, I'd say two things for sure. One, the short story that I did on my blog called Mars, God of War. And I'm proud of that because of how emotionally charged it was. Like, it was just, I conveyed the feeling of anger, and it took so long to make, but I was so proud of it once I was done. And also,
how long did it take for you to make it?
Oh, it took like, it was supposed to be, I think, I want to say 10 months.
10 months?
Yeah. Like, it's not like, it's, the process is very interesting when I write myself. It's like, I write a poem, and then I will, like, start to write the story from the poem, and then I'll leave it alone, and then I'll come back, try and write more and stuff like that. The problem with that story was I didn't understand how it felt to be angry at the time. Like, there were situations, like, just in my personal life where I'd purposely get angry in a situation where I wouldn't be that angry, just to understand the feeling of anger so I could write about it. So it was kind of uplifting to finish it and kind of just make it. It may not be the greatest story I may ever write. To be honest, I think the story beforehand, Till Dusk Till Dawn, was better, and I'm proud of that one as well. But the process that it took to make that story, I'm just very proud of myself. And Dusk Till Dawn is also what I'm proud of, because it's like, I'm proud of anything I can look back at and say that was actually good. So that's another one. The writing was just very poetic, and just, it kind of set the scene. And even if I read it today, I'll still be like, damn, this is good. Yeah. And the other project I'd say is actually a photography project that I did a while ago that I may be working on. And it's kind of a set of photos that I took of a friend at the time. And I just remember getting the photos and looking at them. Like, this is when I started using film.
So this is a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was like in 2018, and I was just so proud of how they came out. It was like the first time I could see my photos and be like, this is actually competent. I could actually say I am good at this.
I think you should call it the first time.
The first time.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Okay, so you spoke about authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
but let's be real here. I feel like every artist is influenced by something. What artists are you influenced by, and how have you used them in your practice?
That's another complicated question.
Yeah, I know. I want just basic, like, for me. I feel like I hope you're gonna say like a bit of Andy Warhol, a bit Basquiat, bit of. I feel like you'd say that.
Basquiat was an influence, yeah. Like
Maybe it's because
Andy
I call you a young Basquiat. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
He was
smart guy.
I understand. Like, I like Basquiat. Like, when I went to his exhibition, it was really cool. Well, as a kid, the first cartoons were very influential. I loved book covers. That's the problem. It's like everything I saw, if it was pretty, I liked it. Like, I used to be the kid who judged books by their covers.
Oh my god.
Like, for real.
Like
if I didn't like the book cover, I didn't want to buy the book. And it's kind of
such a.
I can be very superficial.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just but when I started having my own taste, artists like Keith Haring, what's his name? Jamie Hewlett, who is the artist for Gorillaz.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah, I met him, which was actually quite a
Where
full
did you meet
moment. Banksy.
Where did you meet him?
O2 Arena. Like, backstage.
Is this when you snuck in and you saw Finn Gallagher?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Huh?
That's sick. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was a cool night.
Highlight of your life, some may say.
I don't know. Kano kind of blanked me, I'm not gonna lie. But not gonna lie, I opened the lift and Little Sims kind of gave me the eyes. But
oh, God. Oh, my God. I've got a good question for the next one. Alright, are you ready? From the way you talk, does having a big ego help or hurt an artist?
It hurts in the lot. That's a very hard question.
A good question.
It hurts. It hurts you if you can't take the pressure. Like, because what you do when you have an ego, you kind of create this gap every time you say something for you to jump over. So it's like every time you have to have this momentum to say, oh, I'm the best in the world, and then prove it. Or like something like that. It's just like that gap you keep creating with your words. You have to feel that. And sometimes it's kind of better for yourself to kind of let yourself go at your own pace. I feel like right now I'm just at a pace where I can just keep training. Like, it doesn't have to be career starting now. I'm just like quietly doing my thing and like improving. But it really depends. And if you do fail, some people may not make it back, and it's kind of scary because with the ego, there's nothing behind it. There's just fear behind it. But when you take your time, it's more like self-assurance. It's like bit by bit, block by block. It's slower, but it does work out for you in the long run. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like you pick either. It's I don't want to. What's the right word? I don't want to say speed or velocity, but kind of. It's just kind of. I don't know what the word is, but we'll go with velocity with the ego, and it opens opportunities. You push through obstacles and stuff like that.
So, where do you hope to see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I'm concerned about in 5 years is just being good. Like, just being good at what I do and possibly owning...
How do you define good, though? What do you mean by good?
As good as, like, a 40-year-old at the age of, like... Not 40, that's too much because that'll make me lazy. I'd say as good as people who are in higher positions than me at the age. So, like, say a 35-year-old writer who went to Oxford, I'm as good as them or whatever.
Why do you need to compare yourself when the only person you're in competition with is yourself?
Yeah, indeed. Well, it's not. I don't see us comparing myself, because if I'm not as good as them, I'm not mad. It's just a bar to hit. It's just a goal. It's like something to match, so I know not where I lie, but yeah, just to know, okay, where am I? Like now, for example, it's just kind of like I keep my head down while I'm working. I keep my head down, but every now and then I have to look up and see where I am to know, okay, am I going the right way?
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say like I've definitely had some good education along the way. Maybe doing a master's, on the verge of doing a PhD, like having a job to do so I can keep on doing my creative work, because I don't plan to be a full-time creative person anytime soon. But yeah, kind of like I'm still in my zone, because I'm not planning on peaking now. Like the goal is everyone will keep on thinking I'm peaking, but I just keep going.
Hey,
Like,
hey, I love that. I think that's a good quote. Everyone will think I'm peaking. No, what do you say? Everyone will think I'm peaking, but I will just keep on peaking.
Every decade, people think, oh, he's done it.
He's peaked. You just keep on peaking.
Just keep going. Exactly. So it's just kind of like, yeah, exactly. That's why, 25. I'd say that's why.
26, you old buffoon.
Huh?
You'd be 26, you old buffoon.
26, sorry. 26. Like, I'd probably, I just want to have good quality work that I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to have good equipment and be around people who can help me and be focusing on my health, because if I'm going to have a long career, I need to make sure that I'm sound physically, mentally, and all those sorts of things.
Oh, I love that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, let me find out where I was, because I've listed it down. Do you consider your art as an escapism from your real world problems?
As an escape?
Mm-hmm.
No, actually, I'd say it's the opposite, because all my work is focused on the real world. In fact, like, a lot of my writing is usually quite investigative, not even like my actual analytical writing, like just creative writing. I like to bring out let's say, the demons within myself and within others, and kind of bring that to light in a way. I feel like, for me, it's a healthy way of maintaining control over the parts of myself I don't like.
So is your art therapy?
I wouldn't say therapy, because it's a bit hard right now, because I'm in the middle of bringing art and writing together, keeping them as separate things, but doing them both. And I feel like with art, I don't know, it's kind of, it sounds weird, but I wouldn't say escapism, but it's a way to be romantic. It's like I can dream. Like it's kind of weird, because it's like with writing, it's solid. Each thing is each thing. Like each word is each word. There are boundaries. With art, there aren't boundaries per se. You can obviously make it so, but with art, it's almost like I can see in a way where everything shines again. And it's kind of like just everything being beautiful, and just like rose tinted glasses and things like that. You know, I always said that anything is beautiful with the right lens, and it's like I can kind of have that, and everything becomes a movie. Everything is cinematic in the world. Everything is music. Everything is poetry. And it's kind of like with my art, with especially photography. So it's kind of, it's weird. It's like escaping into a vision of the world rather than escaping out of the world, I'd say.
Okay, I love that. Right now, what are your priorities? This is a quick fire question. Right now, what are your priorities?
Family, friends, me time, work.
One second. What is your biggest trigger?
What do you mean trigger?
Can be positive and negative. What is your bigger trigger in terms of what will just immediately make you passionate? Like what will fill you with so much emotion?
Closed-mindedness.
Okay. If you could read your obituary right now, what do you hope it will say?
Lover, fighter, artist, writer.
If you had a choice, how would you spend the last 3 months of your life?
Traveling, seeing friends, eating good food, and spreading the good word. Anything I can say to street corners.
Okay. I love that. What are you struggling with the most right now?
Money. Sick.
Sorry, I can't. I slowly stop laughing at that. It's not even funny. Touch wood.
That's it's true. Oh boy.
What are you most excited for in your life right now?
The future.
What are you thankful for?
The future.
What brings you joy?
The future.
And what is your why?
Today.
Okay. Thank you, Levi Kwaku, for being part of this beautiful story. I feel like I've learned a lot about you, a lot about your sex addiction, your fat ego, your creativity, and your ability to be very present. Thank you for being very raw, literally, figuratively. Did I mention he's got a small cookie?
That's nice. Thank you for the
but yeah, no, I asked you loads of questions, but I just think I kind of wanted to get as much as I can, and then just cut it down. So yeah, I'm gonna pause the recording. How did you find that?
No, that was good. That was really good. Those were some really good questions.
Is there anything else that you wanted to speak about?
No, I just wanted it to be everything you asked for, nothing else.
Okay. Let me just pause this 1 second, because